Okay, so welcome to the info session. I'm glad you could make it out. And for those of you who are not here and are watching online, thank you as well. We're going to talk about the CFA exam process. We'll talk about how exam success can help you on your journey through the CFA program, and also how exam success takes a different approach towards this program, and how that's different from some of the other providers. So let's just talk about the exam process. Okay, so this exam process. Okay, so no matter whether you're talking levels 1, 2, or 3, let's just say it is just pass or fail. That's it. There's no A's, there's no B's, and there's no C's. We need to learn enough just to pass. There's so much material coming at you. It's no longer intended to be a program where you're mastering this material. You've got, at level 1, you've got 240 questions. Okay? You've got thousands of pages. Okay? You have to go through those, and just a sampling of the curriculum shows up. So this is not designed for you to master this material. It's designed for you to learn a lot about a lot of trivial points over a lot of topics. Okay? You don't have to go very far in depth. Okay? Level 2, it even becomes more difficult because there's only 120 questions. And these questions are in item set format, which are case study, which are quite tricky. You have to be able to connect the information it's giving you. You have to be able to pick up the signals, and that's where we can help you through our experience. And then level 3, where you have essays and the item sets. Okay, it's the essays. This is what I think a lot of candidates struggle with, and you need a method to be able to handle this. So in terms of level 1, they don't talk about this from CFA Institute. They don't publish anything. But I think that we need to start off with a target. What do we need to pass? In my opinion, and this is my opinion, out of the 240 marks, I think that you need about 160. Okay? This is about 66%. I don't think you need 70, 75. No, those are rumors. I don't think you're going to need, you're not going to need that. I don't think there's too many people getting 90, forget that. Okay? There's a difficult exam. There's a lot of traps. There's a lot of trivia. Okay? How are you supposed to remember, about level 1 or level 2 ADRs? Okay? You're not. So get that out of your mind. I don't think anyone's getting perfect. I think if you can come in around 66%, I think you're on to level 2. And now for level 2, out of 120 questions, again, I think it's around the same, 66%, maybe even a little bit lower, around, between 60 and 66%. But just to be conservative, just say, 80 out of the 120. Okay? So I think that's really, what you're targeting. So you can make a lot of mistakes here, okay? And you don't need to get perfect. Now, ethics, okay. So people say if you don't pass ethics, then you can't pass the exam. Okay? That is not true. Okay? Ethics is used as a grading for marginal papers. If you're 1 mark above or 1 mark below the passing score, they will look at your ethics, and if you did well, they'll bump you up to a pass, and if you did poorly, they'll bump you down. Okay, that's it. But if you're way above the passing score, then it doesn't matter. Okay? It doesn't matter where you get your marks. You just have to accumulate enough to pass. Now for level 3, the key is the essays. Okay? And so I talk about a passing score here for level 3, and really, I think it's down around 60%, if you can believe that. So it's a really difficult exam, and we'll talk about strategies for those essays. So get that out of your mind. In the afternoon with the item sets, people tend to have an easier time, but the key to passing are the essays. Good. Okay, so now we're talking about the exam success approach. Okay, so let me just tell you a little bit about myself. I'm Brian Gordon, for those of you who don't know me, and I've been teaching CFA exam preparation since 1999, a long time. I've seen the curriculum change over the years. It has ballooned in content, and now the custom curriculum that is published by CFA Institute, I think, is a really excellent source. However, there's a lot of time traps. There's a lot of material that's in there that we don't know whether it's important or it's not important. Well, I should say you don't. Hey, I've been going through this material for so many years. My background as a finance prof, setting exams, creating exams, marking exams, I think gives me a different focus, a different eye. I look at this material and I start thinking about how it's going to show up on the exam. And I start to go through it and I start to work through the learning outcome statements at a different level than some of the other providers. A lot of providers have popped up online, I'm sure you know, but there is some 24-year-old kid who started a website or a publisher who's got in the business and they figure they've got some notes. Well, we go way beyond that. We go way beyond just notes and just some practice questions. We're thinking about how it's going to show up on the exam and how it's likely to be tested. We're going over old practice questions from CFA Institute. I've gone over those for you. I've poured over them many times to see the pattern, and there is a pattern. So my students in this exam success program, they put their trust in me to do the groundwork. And now you are coming here at a running pace. You're not just starting from scratch. And we can now direct you towards what is important and what is not important. So this is completely different from what the other providers are doing. A lot of other providers have PowerPoint slides. You notice we've got the chalkboard here, and this is old-fashioned learning, okay? We're going through examples. We're focused in on material from the CFA Institute. We're looking at their language to be able to answer their questions. And the approach that we take is a ground-up approach. We're trying to build up enough marks to get over a passing score. So level 1, as I said earlier on, there's 240 questions. I think you need about 160 to pass this exam. And so we just start going through the learning outcome statements. And I call these knowledge items. Knowledge items. And how many knowledge items do you need to know to be able to capture 160 marks? And that's it. We just start to build. There's a core, and this is what I believe the other providers do. They give you the core. Well, that's great. Okay? This is about 50%. Okay? And I don't think 50% is a passing grade. And you shouldn't either, okay? We know it's not a passing grade. I think you got to get up a little higher. So the exam success approach is to take that core and expand this knowledge net by covering these difficult topics, by covering the items that others shy away from. And I call them the additional knowledge net, to expand your core to get you over the passing score. So just as a visual. Now, from my experience proctoring industry exams and looking at them, this is what I think. I think that 50% of the questions are easy. If you've studied, if you've turned the pages, then I think that you're going to get 50%. Your job is to go through the exam as quickly as you can. If you run out of time, I think that is severely going to limit your chances of passing. So 50% easy. 30% of the questions are difficult. Okay, you got to remember, could I remember about duration? Could I remember, maybe that's easy for you. It's a good thing about this exam. Could I remember about impairments? Okay, well, 30% difficult. And then there's 20% that I just call a WOT, okay? A waste of time. Okay? I'm really confident that you're going to come across questions, where did this come from? Okay, everybody does. Okay? So this is what you want to minimize your time on. You want to go through that exam as quickly as you can. You want to get those easy marks. Then you want to come back and you want to work through here, these difficult questions where you can kind of remember, but you just couldn't do it right away. and now you're working through these. This is where the CFA battle is won or lost. This is where I think that you need to pick up those extra marks to get over the passing score. The same technique could be applied for level 2, where you've got this 120 questions, and I think that you need 80 out of the 120. You're working with item sets, so it's a little bit more difficult. CFA Institute tells us that the item set questions can be answered individually. You do not need to get answer to question number 1 to answer question 2 or 3, and so on. So what you need to do is be able to connect the dots. And I think the breakdown is the same with the simple, easy, and waste of time. But at Exam Success, what we're going to do is we're going to go through this curriculum and we're going to pick up the signals. We're going to show you what's distractors. We're going to show you what is necessary. Saving you the time from having to figure this out. Everyone sitting in this room has limited time. You made the effort, and those online, you made the effort to dedicate some time, but you're busy, you're working, you're doing other things. So you got to get down to brass tacks right away. You got to hit the ground running, as they say. So you don't have the luxury of being able to waste time. Some programs, might start, months and months in advance, 8 months, 10 months. All right, okay. Others start 6 months. I've even had people who come in and they start last minute, and they, a few weeks going through the material. So let me just tell you, we certainly have study notes. So the study notes that we have summarize the curriculum. They take those thousands of pages, 3,000 or 4,000 pages, and summarize them down to about 500 pages. There's learning exercises in there. I strongly believe that learning by doing is a very powerful way to cover this material. You must go through learning exercises, and we built learning exercises that are based off of CFA Institute examples. They use the same language so that when you get on the exam, you're familiar with the material. You're ready to answer those questions. We have recorded lessons. Recorded lessons. So I'm not giving you hours and hours of recorded lessons. I mean, how are you supposed to get through all this? These are right to the point. They take you through our material. They show you how to go through the exercises. If there's a one-off item, I need to know how to calculate semivariance. Okay. Yeah, there's a quick recorded lesson, and it might take you 5 minutes to get that mark. There may be a 30-minute recording that goes through the reading. So you can cover this material quickly. The key here is to get through the material quickly, build your foundation, and then begin to expand that knowledge base. That's where Exam Success takes you beyond the other providers. The other providers, they're just giving you that foundation. We're now taking it a step further. So notes, learning exercises, recorded lessons, and you can access this all through our online learning platform. And then the support. So this is really where we get the feedback that people enjoy this. You're not studying alone. You've got a group of fellow candidates who you're studying with. Our live classes held in Toronto are small. Maybe there's 25 or 30 people. There's other programs, I don't know if any of you have been there, but you'll see there's 100, 150 people in the room. It's a lecture, and somebody's just clicking through PowerPoint slides or just rambling on. Completely different atmosphere here. As you can see, there's only 4 rows, 5 rows here. Everybody is close to the front. You've got a question, then we want to be able to handle it. The idea is to expand your knowledge base. I look at this as though it was the study group from that big lecture hall. So the support, and this comes down as very critical. And I know every year as we get closer to the exam, even if our classes end, students continue to get that support. So keep that in mind. And then, of course, we've got the classes, and Exam Success is the only provider who has classes which run on weeknights and on weekends. So weeknight and on a weekend, okay, Saturday or Sunday morning. And you can come to either class, you can come to both if you want. So in our programs that have 15 weekly classes, you could double that and get up to 30 classes. Okay? And so our program, allows you to cover this material quickly. It allows you to stay on track. Okay? It allows you to reach out to somebody if you have a question. Okay? You're not studying alone. You don't have to go onto an anonymous online forum somewhere, and you're hoping that somebody steps up who's got some knowledge. No, you're posting in our online forum, which is special for our students. Okay, and you're getting an answer from me or one of the other instructors. So you know that it's coming from a qualified source that you can rely on. So the idea here is to provide coverage of that core. Okay, to build it up really quickly, but then here's the exam success extra to take you to that next level. This is where we call it, the trivia from the CFA Institute. Boy, how are you supposed to know this? Well, we've been going over the curriculum for so many years. We can help you to expand that core knowledge, and now you're working on adding in extra marks to get over the passing score. So our complete program puts it all together and helps you out. Now for level 3, let's just talk about level 3, specifically for level 3. Okay, now I'm just going to drop right in here. The morning exam, the AM session, the essays. Okay, now I've never been a grader for CFA Institute, and you're not even allowed to advertise that. So if anybody does, they don't even know the rules. Okay, so we are an approved prep provider, I can tell you that. So we're approved by CFA Institute. You can find us on their website. So we've been doing this since 1999, so a long time. So I've never been a grader for CFA Institute, but I've graded papers when I used to teach economics, and I can just think about this. If I had 80 students and I'd have to mark 80 papers, I could tell you after the 10th paper, my mind was already going, and I'd be thinking about just trying to give marks. Imagine somebody sitting there at in CFA Institute, a volunteer who's trying to grade this, and they've got a stack of 1,000 or 2,000. I don't know how many. Did they get 5,000 papers? They are looking for anything. Their answer scheme, their grading scheme has to be so tight. They've just got these points lined out ahead of time. They're just looking. Did you say it? Did you put it down? They're just trying to give you the marks. So the exam success approach is to organize your answers in such a way that we give the grader the opportunity to award you marks. So we're not just teaching you the content, we're showing you how to answer these questions. And that's why our level 3 candidates are so successful, because they go in and they know these strategies. Okay? So you're getting them based on our thoughts. And someone who's graded, not for CFA Institute, but created exams and administered them before. So you're getting a strategy on how to handle this. Okay? So the level 3 comes down to these essays. Cover the material, but then really how to do it. In every class, we're working through practice exam questions. In level 1, we've got quizzes that go right away, okay, just to get you going. Level 2, we're working through exercises, learning exercises. Level 3 starts off every class working through practice questions, and you're putting your pen to paper. No one is sitting in the classroom just watching a boring PowerPoint or anyone clicking through. We're going through material, so you're actively learning. So just to put this together for you, okay, just to put it together, okay, so we have notes, okay, the Prof. Gordon notes, okay, about 500 pages or so, okay, 500 pages, okay, and They cover the learning outcome statements. They have learning exercises within them. Okay? If you wanted to buy those on your own, you could buy those on your own. Okay? You want an alternative? We got lots of students who've been using other prep providers' notes, and they weren't successful, and they were looking for something different, so they got a copy of my notes. Okay? Number two, the recorded lessons. And online, through our online learning center, you can go through, and in about 20 hours or 22 hours, you can cover the entire curriculum. So you're not sitting through hundreds of hours. Okay? This is designed to get you through the material quickly. And then what's even better is you can go back over these and remember and retain this information. Okay? Let me just stop right here. Okay, so people preparing for a June exam. Let's just use this as an example. A June exam. So do you start in October? I know some programs that start in October or November. Okay, all right. Do you start in January? Okay, so that's when our program starts, in January. I even have late starters. People coming in, February. Okay, and they're starting late. So what if you started in October? What if you start in January? How are you going to remember, when you get down here and it's, the end of May, how are you supposed to remember what you started studying? Well, if you're going through other study notes that are 2,000 pages or you've got 150 hours of video, you're never going to get through it. But if you go through our notes and you pick up our accounting material that takes the entire textbook and summarizes it down to about 80 pages, or takes that the economics and summarizes it down to about 40 pages. You can go over it again and again. You can come back to the recorded lesson, which are separated by reading. You can zero right in and refresh your memory. So our program is designed to keep that fresh in your mind all the way to the exam day. It's not a one-shot deal. So I think you got to keep that in mind here. If you're preparing for a December exam and you're starting in July, okay, so just think about this. December, okay, so some students start studying in July. Okay, some students start studying in August. Okay, I even have students who start studying in September. Okay, so again, how are you going to retain what you've learned in July when end of November rolls around? You can go back over our notes, you can go back over our recorded lessons, okay, and our exercises, and you keep it fresh in your mind. Okay? Now, in addition to these items here, okay, we also have practice questions. So these practice questions, they're online, and if you combine all of these together here, we refer to this as our total study program. Okay, so our total study program, which includes the online resources, or this is our core program. Okay, this is really the core. And if you want to study on your own or you're not in Toronto, I've got lots of students who get this, and then they become part of our learning network, and that's the key, okay? The support. Okay? Okay. Now, if you are in Toronto, okay, then let's add in a couple of other items here. We have the classes, okay, and the classes are just held at the University of Toronto downtown. And as I said, they go on a weeknight or weekend, and you can choose between either section or come to both. Small class size. Again, you're not walking to a lecture of 100 or 150 people where you're intimidated and somebody's just lecturing from the front. And then number 5 here, we have our final review. Okay. Final review. And the final review, this is live, it's in class. We're working through practice questions. They're timed, they're mini mock exams, and then we go over those questions in a tutorial style covering the curriculum. So, so this final review, we offer it in Toronto and other locations. You can check the website to see where it's offered. But we really took the final review from just being a content run through to a real working workshop. Roll up your sleeves, get your hands dirty, and go through the material. And really coming out of there after 3 full days of really expanding your knowledge base. So you put all this together, and this is our complete study program, and it is the Exam Success program. So I really want to thank you, for dialing in, and also, for attending. And I'll open it up if anybody has any questions here. Okay, so we'll open it up for questions.